Hi there, and welcome to Stamping in the Barnyard. My name is Bethany Barnard, and I'm excited to share with you this very quick and easy project. And I'm hoping to highlight a few things about this project. The very first thing is, with Valentine's Day coming up, that you don't have to use tones of red and pink, which are traditional for Valentine's Day, in order to make a beautiful Valentine's Day card. I especially think this is true if you're making the card for a woman or a friend, or even maybe grandsons. This light blue one would be nice. And I have made this card for my mother, and it says, "So much love for you." Of course, this could be equally a Mother's Day card or some other special occasion. Because hearts, you know, they're universal. And then I love this little bookmark that it's made. So I'm showing you this project because A, it's a very quick project, and I also want to highlight this Very Best Trio Punch, which actually is part of a bundle, Very Best Occasions and the Very Best Trio Punch. And I will talk to you as I make this project about why I love this punch, but I don't want to neglect this great occasions stamp set because it really covers a multiple number of occasions. For example, it's got the birthday, it's got condolences, thinking of you with comfort and love. It has an outside and an inside that shares a font. It has even the Christmas in here, but it's got thank you and, as I said, birthday and comfort. So it's a nice stamp set. And of course you save 10% if you buy them as a bundle, and I really recommend this punch. Now, it's not in any live catalog right now, so you might need to speak to your demonstrator, or if you don't have a demonstrator, I would be so happy to help you place that order. But this punch is part of the reason why this card and this bookmark can be made so quickly. Now let me show you that, and we'll get started. So as in most cards, you are going to start with your half sheet of cardstock, which would be 5.5 by 8.5, scored in your typical 4 1/4, but then we're going to cut it off at 2 1/8. So let me do that right now. So I'm going to put this in my trimmer, and I'm going to put this right at 2 1/8 here. Whoops. Cut that up. And now I have this front of my panel. I think I need to get a new blade. My edges here look a little ragged here, so I tend to use a different cutter generally but if you just take an eraser or something alongside this, that will help you if you get an edge like that. Okay, so then we have this piece for the front of our card, and we have this piece for our bookmark. So there is your starter, and I'm going to put this out here again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then you cut off 2 1/8 to get your bookmark. Okay, next you will need some DSP that's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to go in here. And then you'll have another one that is cut at 1 7/8 by 5 1/4 that you can put in here. And you do not have to put it in here. At the end of this project, I'm going to show you that I've made a card where I just left the blue. Or you could put a piece of basic white in there so you had more room to write things if you wanted. But for now, I have matched up the inside so that both of these panels match up. So you have 4 by 5 1/4, and then 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And I want you to pay attention to that 1 7/8. Now I have this coordinating color that's also 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And then finally, we're going to have some DSP for our bookmark, which is going to go here. And we could have used either of these DSP. And that is also 1 7/8 by 4 3/4. You're going to see that that measure, 1 7/8, comes up a lot because it's part of the outside panel, the inside panel, the bookmark, and then if you want a little piece of contrasting for your bookmark designer series paper, just like I have here, then that's going to also be at 1 7/8. And just so that you know, if you take if you cut your DSP at 1 7/8 all the way down, you'll be able to get 2 of these pieces plus your little end piece. So you can do your bookmark and your inside, or your bookmark and your outside, just from that 1 7/8 cut by 12. So I wanted to point that out to you as well. And then we have, I'm going to put these aside. And then finally, and this is another hint I have for you. Okay, so we have the outside cardstock is going to be 3 by 4 1/4 with the basic white mat, which is 2 3/4 by 4. And I realize I have these here for you to see the measurements, but I also have put them in the description of this video. And then I have the same thing again, but slightly smaller. The cardstock, and this is just the coordinating one with the DSP, your color might be different, is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. With the white, our usual 1/4 inch less, which is 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. Now, I do recommend that you consider cutting up, especially the whites or the neutrals, into these sizes and have a stack of them. I do that not only with these sizes, but I also do it with our typical inside, which is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, just to have them ready for those times you are trying to put together a card quickly. And the reason why I recommend these measurements for having them pre-cut and having a stack of them is because you'll see, and you might see it, well, you will see it better on the front here, but it gives you an equidistant measure all the way around. And sometimes we want to know that, because if we put them off to the side, I mean, there are various ways you can do different sizes, but if you want one that's equidistant all the way around, those are the measurements for this size. And then that's also true for this one. But I like to have a smaller one on the inside so that if I'm making a card of this style, it's going to completely cover up the inside. And you could, if you were really wanting to go fast, you could just make these all square and not have to do what I'm going to show you. However, that's where this punch, in my opinion, just really is worth its weight in gold, because you have 3 different punches in here, and we're going to use both this one to put the ribbon through our bookmark, and you'll see how quickly that bookmark comes in, and then this more decorative edge here. And so all of us that do a lot of stamping, we all have those dies and we love them, and all the different types of labels, and I'm trying to think of what they would be called, but fronts that you can make with those beautiful dies. And I love them, especially when I have the time to make a card, but sometimes I just want a fast card, but I still want a little bit of decoration. And there's also this one that will do the corner, which I could even do with this card. I haven't done that with any of my other bookmarks, but I could do that this time. But I just really like this decorative one, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. But that's everything that you need. Plus, sorry about that, plus you need 16 inches of ribbon. And I am just loving this. It's the balmy blue ribbon that's in our new mini, and it's part of that Seaside by the Bay, or Sea by the Bay, whatever. It's in the mini catalog. It's two-tone. It's got the balmy blue and the white, and it's just so soft and pretty. And to be honest with you, from the catalog, I couldn't tell, and honestly, until I opened it, I had no idea how soft and thin and pliable this ribbon is. It's much nicer than you might realize. It's not a thick, heavy ribbon. It's just soft and pretty. So I really love this ribbon. Okay, so 16 inches of that ribbon in order to tie the bow this way. So we are gonna get started. And that means that we will go ahead and put our designer series paper in place. You see all this, like I could have made this maybe with a pink background, and even really there is some balmy blue in there, and so this would work too. I just really like the soft blues in this. Do you ever have that problem where you turn your DSP over and then you can't decide for sure which color you want to use, and you hate that you're cutting up one side when you like it so much? Boy, I go through that. That's why you have to buy 2 packs of DSP at least so that you have plenty of options. Now, you want to make sure, in this case with hearts, there is a direction to it. And for a second, because once you've cut this off, actually, I think even, yeah, once you, I think, is it regardless? Like, I couldn't have turned that around. This has got to be my inside the way it is, if that makes sense, because this is definitely my front, and I could open it backwards if I'd gotten it upside down. But anyway, something to pay attention to is the direction of your pattern on your DSP, if it has one. Now, the flowers didn't really have one, so. Now I'm putting this DSP inside this panel. It's not necessary, and at the end of this video, I'm going to show you another card where I did not do that, if you're trying to save on DSP, and I get that. But then again, if you buy those 2 packs, you don't have to be as careful with your designer series paper. I think DSP just really adds such a beautiful touch to so many of our projects. Okay, so I am going to keep going here, but I'm going to do the stamping before I put them on my card, because you never know if you have to turn over the cardstock. And I am using this color green in here is the mint macaron. So I have my mint macaron here, and I do always get a little nervous on these, especially with words. So I like to stamp with it once for 2 reasons. Because I think that, that's a nice, it's a nice image, so I'm happy with it. But sometimes your first image with stamps after you've cleaned them will mean that they don't ink up as dark as they will the second and third times that you stamp it. It's not really a generation. Okay, so I want to leave room for my flower at the bottom, because that's one reason why I love this. I don't even know if I've shown you that yet, but the Love for You stamp set, which I'll get into at the end, but I don't know what I was going to say there, so we'll just keep going. Oh, the flower that I want to put in here. So we're going to do that next. And so for that, I am using the Balmy Blue. And these are, I love these. As soon as I opened the mini catalog and saw a card made with this pretty much from the get-go, I knew that I wanted this set because it's a fast set. And remember, that's part of what I want to show you here. So I stamped off. And to me, it's fast because you don't have to color it in. And so you just put this on over the top, and you've got that beautiful flower there. And then I'm going to fill in the center with this petal pink, which is also a color that you can find in this DSP. And so, let's see. Put that right there. I'm going to make it just that little bit darker here. And there we go with that little flower. And, oops, close that up. And I do want to add some of these little hearts here, because this is going to be a Valentine's Day card for my mother. Although I think it would also make a good Mother's Day card or something different? I might just keep it that simple. I'm trying to decide. Yeah, I think I will. On this one, I put a lot more hearts, and I may change my mind and add more later, but this is supposed to be a quick card, so we're only going to do the 3 hearts. All right, and now comes the punch, which I love so much. Okay, now the tip to this, easier when it's a rectangle to remember the rule I'm going to tell you. When it's a square, you're just going to have to remember to punch and flip to get the same corner. But what I like to tell people is, depending, you will get a different punch, whether you put it in this way or this way or this way. So my trick is to say, if it's a rectangular piece, that if you have the long piece coming out this way, you need to make sure you have the long piece coming out every time that you punch it. Or if you like the opposite design, you need to make sure it's always vertical, horizontal coming out. Not vertical, horizontal coming out. So you got to just make sure that the paper's always facing the same way. Now that only works if you've got a rectangular piece to begin with. So if you have a square, just remember that once you do one corner, you flip it for the other corner. But in this case, I'm going to always keep this coming toward me. Punch, turn it over, punch. See, I've got it long coming toward me again. Punch, flip it over, punch. Right? There we go. And now I'm going to take the mat for that piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. Punch, punch, and this way it's all going to line up. If I were to start doing it this way, then we wouldn't have the same design here. So that's why that's an important. And really, we call it the very best trio punch, but honestly, you really get 4 different designs from it and punches from it. And they both look good, to be honest with you. So there's our front. And now we're going to do the inside, which, because I just really like So Much Love for You. But if it's for a friend, and I may do this, let's see, for you. Oh, I've already got it on its stamp. Silly me. I did prepare a little bit for this video. Okay, so back to the mint macaron. And again, I'm going to stamp here first just to make sure I've got good coverage. And I do. And I want to also make sure that I leave a little bit of room to sign the card here. So I'm going to put this up slanted like that. And then what did I do in here? Because I want to do the same thing. Another flower at the top and some hearts. I might put my flower, no, I'll put the flower there as well. And then I'll do some hearts. Okay, so once again with the flower and the balmy blue. I'll just put that there. I was gonna stamp off, guys, and I didn't. Well, now we'll find out what it looks like if you don't stamp off. I think it's still gonna be okay because it will still go on double strength in that area. There we go. Not too bad. I like it a little bit better this way, but just remember to stamp off if you want to do that. But it doesn't ruin your image by any stretch if you forget to stamp off first. And you probably won't be making a video, so you won't be as concerned about getting it done quickly. All right, so I'm looking for my center for my flower again. And again, I really will darken this up this time because my flower is so dark. Oh, and before I put that away, I think I did, yep, 3 more hearts. 1, 2, and 3. And that's, again, leaving room to, actually, you know what? I want to give this one to a friend. So I actually did bring out, in that same set, there is Nobody Gets Me Like You Get Me, and I wanted to put that underneath for a Valentine for a friend of mine. So I am going to go ahead and do that in the blue as well to kind of contrast it from the mint macaron. So I forgot I was going to do that, but might as well. I've already got one for my mom, so this one is going to be for a good friend of mine. So we've been friends pretty much since I moved here. So nobody gets me like you get me. To give her a Valentine will be so sweet. Okay, and then we come bring in our very best trio punch again. Same rule. And you just butt these right up. There's a stopper at the top and at the side. So you just want to make sure that it's all the way in there. And then, I think I'm used to it there. I mean, so much quicker than running a die through. I love my dies. I'm not saying anything bad about our dies. This is all about being able to make a card and a bookmark quickly, and also kind of conserving your cardstock, as well as making them coordinate, and just a lot of benefits from this, because I think the design itself is pretty as well. I don't know how I'm moving this out of the video, but we'll find that out, right? So we're going to go ahead and adhere these. I tend to just use my liquid glue and do a perimeter around the piece that I'm adding on. And I find that that holds really well. I do honestly find that this liquid glue has so many benefits, one of which is it really does hold well, even through a hot Florida summery, humid type day. It's also cheaper. And you know, I used to think that the snail was faster, but honestly, I don't think this is any slower. There is a learning curve on it. When I first got the liquid mono glue, I hated what it felt like on my fingers. There were so many reasons why I wasn't sure about it, but boy, I have come to love it, and it is my adhesive of choice. Okay, so now we are ready to, if you start by putting the inside piece in first, you know, speaking of liquid glue, I don't like this little, I think my cardstock was slightly bent there. And I should have put it down here in this corner to hide it, but then it would have been upside down, so that wouldn't work. I think that took care of it. Okay, so here we go again. See how much, I think this is even quicker than our, it's not called snail anymore. Something plus, Seal Plus. I do like Seal Plus if you're using ribbon maybe, but otherwise. Okay, look how this is coming up. Isn't that pretty? And then that way, oh, I didn't put my front piece on. Let's do that now. So that's our contrasting piece of Designer Series paper, which I'm gonna put here. See how I'm covering up this traditional red? Oh, I used the red. I'm gonna show you some of that. And if you have a chance, check out my slider chocolate box for Valentine's Day using this paper. Also, you can get 2 boxes from 1 sheet of cardstock. It's quick, it's easy, and it's uses the heart punch duet. You get both of the punches. It's been around for a couple years in our catalog, and I really love it. It's my go-to punch for Valentine's Day. Okay, so, and I'm going to show you that on a card here too. Okay, so the main thing here is you do not want to put your adhesive on the wrong side of this. And you just need to make sure you start by kind of getting it to where it's got the same border all the way around, but it also should cover up the inside opening. So there you have this card and the inside. And I did like, in our catalog, there is, did I not bring those sequins here? Oh my goodness. I forgot to bring out my sequins. I actually film in a different room than my craft room. And I've forgotten the sequins, but there are pastel sequins that I placed on top here. But I have here from a video I did before this one, and these are Balmy Blue, so I think I'm gonna just use these instead, and these are our iridescent pastel gems. Yep, sorry about that. I really thought I went and got them because I tried to remember the things I forgot, if that makes any sense. But these already have an adhesive on the back, and I am gonna just put one here, and I like the smaller ones on cards. One here, and it's interesting because they're Balmy Blue, but it also seems to go really well with this mint macaron color. And then where am I gonna put this? I like to kind of make a triangle. I'm gonna put it right in there. And that kind of fancies up that front a little bit better. And again, quick embellishments help to make a card pretty and quickly. Okay, so now we're ready for our bookmark. We've got the card done. And we're gonna bring out our trusty trio punch, and then on this punch, there's a line right here that tells you it's the center. And I have never actually, you could mark the center here if you're concerned about whether or not you're getting this right in the center of your cardstock, but I just put it in straight, I kind of eyeball it with this line, and then I punch my hole for the ribbon. And then the other thing that's nice about this is that my corners on my bookmark are gonna match the decoration of the card in the front as well. So I love that. Okay, and then we will just, how I managed to curl up these pages. Again, now that you've punched it, make sure you put your hearts facing upright. I went through this thing about keeping your hearts directional on my chocolate box that I referred to earlier with the slider opening. And then I noticed, even though it doesn't matter because you can put the slider on either way, I put the slider on and my hearts are upside down. So all I have to do is take the slider off and put it back on. But still, I was like, I made that big point of making sure you paid attention to directions. And I still ended up at the end of my video putting it on in the wrong way. So here's where you want the 16 inches, and that's to make what it's one of my favorite ways to tie a bow on something like a bookmark. So I'm also going to show you how to do that. And so I've cut 16 inches of this beautiful ribbon, fold it in half, and then you're going to put the fold through the back. And then when you feel like you have pretty much enough of the loop, obviously you can't make the loop so high that you can't tie the bow in the front, but I'm gonna just untwist this ribbon here a little bit. I'm gonna move this out of the way too in the hopes that it helps you to see exactly what I'm doing. So you can see I've brought the loop in from the back up to the top, and now I'm gonna take one, what do you call it? Strand? What do you call these ribbon ends? One end? Anyway, I'm sure there's a name that's better than one end. Anyway, okay, so you keep that loop up, and I always like to, just for the stability of tying a bow, I like to go ahead and do like when you're tying your shoes and do that first knot to keep everything in place. So that's all I've done here. And you want to make sure it's not getting caught on these beautiful corners here. And then you can pull that tighter. There we go. And then you can kind of work with it a little bit to make sure that things are where you want them for when you tie your bow. And now you just tie the bow. Tie that around. And, you know, people ask about how I tie bows. I kind of work with them for a little bit after I've tied them. So I will be doing the same here. And then I can trim my ends. Is that what we do? Just call them ends? This is such a pretty ribbon. I mean, I'm just so excited because it's really nicer than I thought when I ordered it. I hear other people say that sometimes about ribbon, but till I get it in my own hands, I'm just not sure. There we go. So I don't think I want my loops quite that big. So I'm gonna just pull these down. This is what I mean about how I work with it for a little bit after I've tied it. There we go. And then I just basically tell the bow what I want it to do and where I want it to be. So, you know, it's not necessarily beautiful, but it's my bow. And then you should have sharp scissors. I don't have my ribbon scissors here, so I hope I don't regret that. That's not too bad. And I think I will go ahead and cut the other side as well, because it did get a little bit fringed in the handling. Whoops, don't like that cut. You know how it is. I'm gonna make my bow a little smaller. You know how it is, right? You can just keep cutting if you're not careful. And you might not really want to keep cutting. Okay, so we're gonna try that one more time. Again, it's hard because I don't have my right scissors. I'm making too much of this. Don't you guys do that. All right, so there you go. And there are, and I'm gonna show you this, there are lots of, in the designer series paper, and really in almost, well, really in all of Stampin' Up's designer series papers, you have contrasts. Well, in that same Country Floral Lane, they have these cute little bicycles, and the 1 7/8 figure that we need to make this bookmark is exactly what gives you a nice little bicycle on the bottom. And I do have a friend who loves to ride her bike. Actually, I have more than one friend who loves to ride bikes long distances. And so I'm excited about giving her this bookmark. She also reads. And I find I use a bookmark whether I read or not. I actually read too, so I shouldn't. But you know, I like bookmarks for my catalog too. So there you go. And I just wanted to show you the difference that you could do. And I'm going to show you still another one that I made earlier here. Oh, this is with the bicycle too. I have another one somewhere where I used, I guess I didn't bring that out either. But anyway, there's another little trim that you can use that, I'm really surprised. I thought I did bring that out here. Well, I apologize for that. Oh, here it is. I did bring it out here. So you see this same paper. In fact, this is above the bicycles on the DSP. So you can use it. That's why I didn't give you an exact measure for these, because that can go up as high or as little as you want. And I liked this one for the border of this bookmark, and then I really like the bicycle for my friend that rides the bike. And because it does have some of this sweet sorbet in it, and I think it's such a nice, actually, I think I'm going to stick with the blue, the balmy blue, to do the friend in this. And this is where I said that after I finished this project, I wanted to share a little bit about the stamp set and how you could step up this card. So I am going to use my trusty punches. Punches are all about making cards quickly. So here is a punch in order to do that. And I should have this strip of paper here somewhere too. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to stamp friend in my balmy blue. And you'll see it fits really nicely in this punch that goes with the Alphabet bundle. And guys, everybody needs an alphabet, and I've got some things coming up that I'm going to make a video of using this punch some more, and I have some already that I've done that with, but more are coming. Okay, so I'm going to just, you don't have to. This stands alone with this ribbon in this pretty DSP. You really don't need anything more. But this friend, how did I do that? Look, I must have stamped on the back before in that color. Huh. And it's, I didn't even notice that, and it covered it perfectly. All right. Boy, if I move this around, and I'm just going to center that up here at the top. And so I've got a nice card, Valentine's card for a friend and a bookmark. And there's two of them. It was very quick. It was very easy. Why? Because of punches. So don't forget this punch, and make sure both of these punches. This is great for that set alphabet bundle, but obviously you can see there are other words you can put in it too. Okay, so first I'm going to show you one other card that I made with this design, but it's stepped up a little bit. So here I used, again, the same stamp set that made these flowers, but you see how pretty they are? I love those flowers and leaves. But I also used, I die cut the word love, because you can die cut, in addition to the flowers, all the so much love for you. And on my slider box with the chocolates in it, I used love cut out of the gold foil paper, and that's put on top of one of these hearts and looks really pretty. But you can see I did die cut this. Why can't I think of what that's called? What do you call that border? But you guys know it's a very familiar one. And I not only did I do that, but I did take a piece of this white and stamped on it and then put it on top of, so because I wanted that clear white edge, I didn't want to stamp out all the way to the end. And then I put the Happy Valentine's Day right across the heart here. And again, I mounted this on a contrasting piece of cardstock. Nobody gets me like you get me. Love that saying in there. And then on here, I did the same thing. This is, again, the sorbet, the sweet sorbet cardstock, and that's the color that's in here. But I did 3 of those little hearts just on a scrap of white that I had, and put that across here. And again, I put friend up at the top of that, and I used some of our sweet sorbet ribbon to make up this envelope, this card. So here's one in the traditional red, here's the ones in the blue. I'd be curious which ones you like better, but so much faster to use that punch to make these. So lastly, before we go, I just wanted to share with you this set, because it also has each and every day. So you could say so much love for you each and every day. You could say much love or love. Thanks for all you do, because so it's a thank you card as well. Happy Valentine's Day and happy anniversary. That's almost a rare stamp. I do have other stamps that say happy anniversary, but it's nice to get that in with this as well, so that you can make anniversary cards. And then you have congratulations. You have nobody gets me like you get me, which, as I said, is pretty fun because only a few people really get me, I suppose. It's got the 2 hearts in it, but then has 2 different size flowers that are 2-step stamping and 2 sets of leaves. And it's really just a fun but very quick stamp set that you can use. Lastly, I do want to just remind you that these heart punches, it's in a dual pack, are $38, and you can get them both. It's still in our catalog, and that is what I used to make scallop. Scallop is the word I was looking for before. It's a scallop die, and then this cuts a scalloped heart as well. And as I said, check out my chocolate slider opening card, where I also use those dual heart punches. Well, thank you for your patience. I was all over the place, I'm sure, but I did want to share this with you, and thank you for watching.